The U.S. and Iran are on the verge of sitting down for direct talks for the first time. What's at stake is the future of the Middle East and whether it will be war or the end of Iran's nuclear program.
The U.S.-Iran nuclear talks begin this weekend as a new report warns Iran's nuclear threat has worsened significantly. The Institute for Science and International Security warns that Iran has improved its nuclear weapons capabilities, that it takes less time to build those weapons, and that the idea of building them has gained more acceptance in Iran. The report also says the nuclear threat from Iran has increased significantly since February of last year. President Trump already warned Iran it has about 2 months to come to a deal or face military strikes.
We have a little time, but we don't have much time because we're not going to let them have a nuclear weapon. Can't let them have a nuclear weapon.
Warning that Israeli security is on the line, former Israeli ambassador to the U.S., Michael Oren, writes the Americans could agree to a deal that lets the Iranians once again keep their nuclear facilities and centrifuges intact. Another Israeli concern is the Iranians will stall for time to finish developing such weapons and get ready to repel any attack to destroy their nuclear facilities. Iran denies it's building nuclear weapons.
We will provide whatever guarantee necessary to prove we are not seeking a nuclear bomb.
Trump has moved a massive amount of American military power into the Middle East that could strike Iran's nuclear facilities. The Iranians are trying to neutralize that threat, warning Tehran might stop cooperating with the International Atomic Energy Agency and expel its inspectors if military threats against Iran continue. Here in Israel, a new report says the Palestinian Authority is still paying allowances to terrorists who've killed Israelis. The PA insists it stopped the infamous pay-to-slay program, but the watchdog group Palestinian Media Watch points out one PA employee's publication admitted some money being paid out is specifically for martyrs, prisoners, and the wounded. Meanwhile, both Trump and Israeli sources tell the Jerusalem Post it appears a new deal is close to getting the remaining hostages who are alive freed.
Want to get those 24 out really fast, and we're working on it very hard.
This comes after freed hostages traveled to Washington.
We are here because of President Trump. Thank you.
Israeli government spokesman David Mencer points out Jews in Israel and around the world are preparing for Passover, also known as the Festival of Freedom. That's when Moses cried out to Pharaoh, "Let my people go."
That cry is not just an ancient piece of history, it's our urgent living plea for the 59 hostages still held by Hamas in Gaza.
Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Israel's Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, Sharon Haskell, talked with CBN News about the upcoming talks with Iran and also about why this year's Passover is so significant to the Jewish people. Is there a concern that perhaps Iran may be using these talks to delay any sort of military strike and continue its efforts to get a nuclear weapon?
Look, I won't be surprised. I can tell you that. But I think that what was shown is that there are talks in good faith in the hope, of preventing an escalation and in the hope to resolve this problem so that there won't be a threat on humanity, on countries like democratic, freedom-loving nations like Israel, like America, and many more countries in Europe, in South America, in Asia, and many more.
Yeah, we know that Iran really has its tentacles throughout the Middle East with the Houthis, Hamas, Hezbollah, as well as many other militias. But you just came back from Malawi, and you had an agreement there with the government. Talk about that agreement and Iran's efforts there in Africa as well.
So Iran's tentacles are spreading all around the world. What you've seen in recent years in the Middle East, these are a result of Iran, the IRGC, going into pockets of instability in the Middle East and expanding them, pushing their influence, funding them to actual terrorist organizations. And that creates major instability, major political influence, Iranian influence, and that turns the Middle East into a complete chaos. They're doing the same thing in Africa now as well. They are going into countries seeking instability and trying to expand that. They're funding terrorist groups. You know, it's the same idea. Boko Haram, Al-Shabaab, Daesh, Hamas, the IRGC, the Houthis. This is the same idea, the same execution, but only different people from different countries. And so we have to be aware of that and try and be active strategically to prevent that escalation in the African continent as well. But I have to say as well, this is not just limited to the Middle East, Africa. This is happening in Europe. This is happening in South and Central America. I want to remind you that the biggest control of illegal drug and weapon trafficking routes in Central and South America are being held by Hezbollah. Hezbollah is the army of Iran. They have based themselves straight on your border. You need to understand that Trump's war on the cartel is not just a legal issue, a drug issue, a safety issue. This is a war against terrorist groups who are being funded by those activities, who are trying to spread their operation. Hezbollah is really trying to expand their operation on your southern continent, the Central America and South America. And so there has to be a strategy on how to push Iran out of these pockets of instability.
We're just a few days away from the celebration of Passover, something the Jewish people have done for over 3,000 years. You had a Seder with some of the hostages and their families, as well as many diplomats. How important is Passover to the Jewish people at this time?
Passover is one of our highest holiday, and it's a holiday of freedom. We were liberated from slavery in Egypt, shaking off those shackles of slavery, and starting our journey back to our homeland in Israel. And during these times of war, when we still have 59 hostages that we are fighting every single minute to bring them back home, we cannot take freedom for granted. It just reminds us, that every few generations, we're going through, persecution and liberation. And for us, for our generation now, the 7th of October, the hostages, everything that they've been through, the torture, the abuse, and the 59 hostages who are still in captivity, it has a completely different meaning. We value it, we cherish it, we don't take it for granted. It's very difficult.